And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the African American Athlete uh, Streamcast. I'm Rickey Hampton with my friend and frat brother, Michael Roberson, coming to you on a Friday evening. Mike, I was a little distracted, man, sitting here watching my Detroit Tigers had a no hitter, 2 outs in the ninth. Denver didn't give up a triple. They hit it down the first baseline. The guy hit a triple, but they got the final out to win the game 1-0. I guess that's better than losing it after having a no hitter going into the ninth.
That's true, but speaking about anniversaries, it's the 40th anniversary of when they were on top of the world. Remember the Tigers won it all in '84,
right.
So
in fact,
that's what I'm saying. They were on top of the world then. They won the laughing stock back then.
They just honored their team. Last weekend, they had a big celebration for the 84 Tigers. And they're actually having a good year for them. They got a good young team. They're 3 games out of the wild card race. So we'll see what's happening. But, man, speaking of celebrate, at every HBCU game tomorrow at halftime, the bands are going to be playing Before I Let You Go, even before halftime, doing timeouts. I know Frankie Beverly is going to get lots of love this week at HBCU games. The lead singer for Frankie Beverly and Mays, Frankie, passed away, I believe, Thursday at the age of 81. Man, the thing about Mays, Mike, they hadn't had an album in 30 years, but people just love to.
It's been a while. Right. It's only certain groups that can do that, stand the test of time like that, and it still be a fresh show every time. So I was talking about on Facebook how I remember having backstage access for them when they were in Maryville, Indiana. That's right there near Gary and Hammond. So that's still part of Chicagoland per se.
Yeah,
and so we went down there.
I know that theater. I've been to concerts there. Yeah.
Right.
And Frankie was 77.
Yeah. So I saw him there. I saw him.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying, I seen him in Milwaukee too. But that particular concert was real cool because just the atmosphere. Like I said, you got a lot of the Chicago people were down there, Gary people, and then people out there stepping, Chicago stepping. So it was like a real great atmosphere. And then we got backstage. Didn't get a chance to meet Frankie. For some reason, they went off. But I think it was a girl group called Cut Close, I believe. Somebody else. So we met them, took pictures. But yeah. Frankie Beverly, when we're talking about, the 70s movies before, right? So you think of Frankie Beverly, that was the soundtrack of the 70s, late 70s, and even early 80s, along with Isley Brothers and all that. So, yeah, definitely will be missed, but the music will live on forever.
Yeah, and I think he did his last show a few weeks ago. He said he was coming off the road. The band is going to continue to play. It's going to be Mays and I forget the gentleman who's taking over for Frankie. But the bands, man, Before I Let You Go, dun, 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 dun. I mean, that, of course,
Southern Girl.
Southern Girl, man. Just great. They made great music.
Well, don't forget when he paid homage to Marvin Gaye, Silky Soul Singer.
Silky Soul Singer. Yeah. It's that, and you know what? I'm sure you know this. In mainstream America, that wasn't even a story.
Right.
That he passed. But in Black America, it's a huge story.
Absolutely.
The difference in the two. Did you notice that? The difference.
Oh yeah. Well, but the guy that preceded him in death is universally loved on both sides.
That's right.
And of course, that's the great James Earl Jones, and it's definitely apropos to talk about him because he also was a giant in sports movies. Field of Dreams, which is mainstream, everybody loves that one. But then for us, Bingo Long Traveling All Stars, that was a classic. That was a classic once again back in the 70s. So, I mean, both of these gentlemen really, really made strides in the 70s and 80s. And of course, the 70s was Star Wars. See, people forget that once they did the whole twist, that ended up not really supposed to be the first movie. It was supposed to be like part of a triple situation, a trequel, I guess they would call it. So what happened is, or prequel, but what happened is that came out in 77, Star Wars, and it had Darth Vader. His voice was James Earl Jones, so booming voice. But I was watching a documentary. They were talking about James Earl Jones. They actually had a British gentleman or an English gentleman that was actually doing the voice at first, and I heard that, and it just did not have the same pizzazz to it. When they said we're gonna go with the James Earl Jones, but James Earl Jones had a phobia of speaking in front of people because he stuttered.
No.
And, yeah, he stuttered, and he was worried about his Mississippi accent. Yeah,
and you know his nickname, they call him the Voice of God.
Yeah, well, he and another Mississippian from Sesame Street.
Who's the guy from Sesame Street?
He played God in a movie.
You got me on that one, bro.
Okay. we'll bring it back up a little later, but James Earl Jones also for us cult film Morgan Freeman. So they call Morgan Freeman that too.
Morgan Freeman was in Sesame Street.
Yeah, that's where I remember him from. He also went the other route and played a pimp on one of the soap operas. But I go back with James Earl Jones, back with Claudine. Remember Claudine with Diane Carroll was his love interest, and that was that was a classic. Even had Freddie Boom Boom Washington playing her son, so that was a classic.
Yeah, in fact,
the soundtrack was
that
awesome.
movie was on. That movie was on not very long ago.
Right.
Another one of my favorite James Earl Jones was the. Did you ever see the movie The Sandlot?
No, I didn't see The Sandlot, but let's not forget Great White Hope, though.
You gotta check him out in The Sandlot. That was a hilarious movie.
Okay.
About these kids spending their summer playing baseball on The Sandlot. I won't take it any further than that. And it was really he got a lot of play here in Michigan because he was a University of Michigan grad.
Right.
James Earl Jones. Yeah, just tremendous actor, and just James was 93 years old, born in Paulding, New York, and one of the best to do it, man. So R.I.P. to both of those guys.
Right. And his voice was used on CNN too. When CNN did their drops, that was his voice. Yeah.
That's right. I think they still use him.
I'm sure. I think he made an agreement that his voice can be used so it can keep the legacy going, especially with the Star Wars franchise. So I think they were allowed to keep his voice, because I'm glad they even gave him the option to say that, because most of the time they just say, well, "You're gone anyway. This is ours."
Hey, Mike, did you watch all the Star Wars movies?
No, that's the thing about it is that. So I watched that when I was a kid in '77, and but then next thing I know, another one came out, and they said, "Well, the one that you saw wasn't the first one; it was a prequel." Because no, it wasn't a prequel. The one that came after was a prequel. That's supposed to happen before that Star Wars, because Princess Leia and all of them were older at that time, but then they went back and made them younger. So I lost track. I mean, I remember Lando Calrissian and Billy D. Williams. And then, of course, Sam Jackson played in there. So I didn't see those. I think I may have seen one of the later ones. It might be at 6 or 7 around now. But Yeah, but I went to the first one, but I didn't really catch the ones in between.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, man. They got me confused on that stuff. I'm like, okay,
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
just trying to go to a movie here.
Right.
I'm
And
not trying to.
that year came out. That was a crazy year. 77 was a crazy year because you had that out, and then you had the blackout in New York. Son of Sam stuff was going on. The Yankees won the World Series, and Reggie
Yep.
went crazy, and so it was a. And then Marquette won a national championship. Al McGuire. So it was like that. I remember that summer was like really electric. And then of course we hit the 80s a little later, and that decade was really wacky too.
Yeah. Hey man, uh, I don't know if you got a chance to see the Dolphins and Buffalo Bills last night. I don't know why Buffalo just dominates this team. I think that's their seven. I think they've won 14 out of the last 16 against Miami, but that really wasn't a big story last night. The Bills won the game 31-10, but Mike Tua Tagovailoa had another concussion incident. He was went back to pass, ran for a first down, didn't slide, took a hit. Mike, I mean, it's football, so it's a hit. But we've seen much bigger hits than what he took
Right.
last night.
And basically he was the one that made the contact necessary because he had his head down and
Yeah,
his head went to Hamlin's chest, which could have been dangerous for him. Remember?
yeah.
so yeah, so yeah, it was more like a glancing blow because I thought maybe his neck had you know snapped or something
Right,
like that.
because it was awkward.
Because
Right.
remember Chucky Mullins from Ole Miss?
Yep.
He went in like that with his head, and then next thing you know, he was laid out, and then he broke his neck and he was paralyzed. So that's what I was wondering. And then plus he seized up too. So when he has his concussions, he's like seizing up. So that's like really dangerous because you can have, blood flow not going through and all that. So
But some people are saying he should retire.
right, yeah. Well, a lot of people, of course, all these pundits on TV were saying that, but then you get some to say, you know what, it's not our place to tell him that. It has to be his family or the doctors or both. So, it's one of those deals where you, and you don't want to use the metaphor where his head is, but you got to wonder what he's thinking about. Okay, I've been given a couple opportunities to survive this because it could have been worse. So do I look at that as this is my sign to exit, or is he going to be more worried about I just got this big contract, I want to be able to honor this contract, and I want to persevere. So it all depends on his mindset. I mean, you remember how his revelation was that the former coach made him feel so uncomfortable and broke his confidence, and
Brian
now the coach he
Flores.
has now, your Flores, but now the coach now hasn't feeling good about himself. So who knows if he feels like, well, I don't want to let him down since he kind of revitalized my psyche. So maybe he'll say, you know what, I know this is dangerous. Maybe the next time I won't get up again, or maybe the next time it'll be fatal. But maybe he'll say that, you know what, I still have confidence. And of course, I think he does have spirituality. So he might feel like that, you know what, the man up above will probably look out for me. So it's up in the air. And it's like one of those situations where whichever one he goes, you're going to be all right with it. But you still want to see somebody end up, losing it all because they didn't take the hints that were put in front of them.
Because he's only 26.
Right.
He's got a contract worth 200 million plus. But Mike, at some point you're gonna get hit again.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's inevitable, right?
Well, especially if you scramble and you don't slide properly.
Right.
Because But yeah, we're dealing with the head, and especially with all the CTE stuff and all that the NFL's been going through, and the movie, Will Smith was in, where he was playing the doctor that kind of exposed a lot of that, and the NFL allegedly tried to squash him. So, with the CTEs and all the other stuff, people donating their brains and all that. This is a dangerous situation, especially you've had multiple concussions, and like I said, it's not like, okay, he got his bell wrong. You're out there, and like I said, your muscles and all that are seizing up, and you look like you're having convulsions almost. So I don't know. And people take brain injuries in different ways. So he could be really susceptible to it, whereas someone else might just feel wheezy or queasy. And so, let's go to the basketball situation. Klay Thompson got kneed in the head during the finals, I believe against the Cavs, or maybe it was against the Rockets in the previous series. But he took a knee to the head. They didn't put him in concussion protocol, but apparently he threw up after the game, which is a sure sign that you are concussed. But they were so adamant about winning that championship that they didn't even enter the concussion protocol. But that could have been dangerous. That you get back there on the court too early. So, take another shot to the head, and then who knows? Next thing you know, you're a vegetable. So,
well, I believe I think the Dolphins got in trouble when Tua got previously.
Right. They were thinking it was a back injury, or they were reporting it was a back injury, but it was concussion, and he wasn't even able to walk back to the huddle. He collapsed. Right. Yeah. So, yeah, they got in trouble for that, misdiagnosing and all kind of stuff. So they definitely better get on it and say, look here, our team's going to be liable if something seriously bad happens to you. So you really, really need to think about this. And I think the incentive they should do is say, look, if you do retire, we're going to take care of you, for a while, or give you a huge, severance. That way it won't be a situation where, okay, well, we want our money back because you're not going to fulfill this contract. So that's the one they need to give him some incentive to say, look, it's better you end your career now and be a healthy person later on in your life for your kids and your wife, or, fulfill the contract, but we're still on pins and needles hoping that nothing horrible happens to you. So,
and my guess who one of the quarterbacks they're talking about, one report has a certain quarterback signing with the Dolphins. Take a guess.
We're not gonna go through that again.
Exactly.
Matter of fact, they had the one player that was Cuban on Miami, and he tried to take Kaepernick's head off because he said, you wore a Castro shirt. And I said, okay, this is what I'm talking about. People have misinformation. He wore a Malcolm X shirt who was with Castro. So for you to use the whole, well, he's supporting Castro and all that, no, it was a Malcolm X shirt, but he just happened to be meeting the picture where he met with Castro. And Castro was meeting with a lot of civil rights people and all that. So, but they won't tell you that because they want to make it seem like he was just this evil dictator that was a communist, but they don't talk about how much the embargo affected that whole country in a negative way.
Right. I didn't hear that story. Tua had the shirt on?
No. It was a defensive player years ago when Kaepernick was still playing.
Oh, okay.
Kaepernick had the shirt on. He had the Malcolm X hat, and he had Malcolm X, the picture of Malcolm X and Fidel Castro were meeting in some place, maybe in Cuba. So he tried to parlay that into you're supporting Castro, and then of course you had Dan, what's his name from ESPN? Used to be at ESPN. He had his father on the show with him. So he really not Dan Patrick. Leverton. So he really used hyperbole by saying, well, Castro was our Adolf Hitler. I said, dude, come on, stop with that. I mean, really? So So that was another way that they were attacking Kaepernick, saying that he supported Castro, he hated America, he was disrespecting the soldiers. So all that stuff was thrown in there. So that's why I said Miami. I don't know if that would be a good place anyway, because the whole Cuban community will probably come out and say, "Hey, remember?"
But I wouldn't. The guy I'm talking about is older than Cat.
Oh, really?
Tom Brady.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Tom. When they gonna let that go, man?
Never. I mean, remember they went and got Cutler. Cutler wasn't even interested in playing. But they pulled him out of the scrap heap and said, at least you're not Kaepernick, so we're going to put you in there, and we're going to give you like $10 million. So, yeah, Tom, I don't know, but see, that'll be a conflict of interest, because doesn't he have like stake in another team? Like Tampa or something like that? Doesn't he have, isn't he trying to get into ownership? So
no, I don't know, but Tom went to Michigan, and so does Stephen Ross, who owns the Dolphins.
Okay.
They're both Michigan men. So I don't see him coming back, please. I've heard enough Tom Brady stories. But hey, what's been your impressions of the league? I know it's early, first week, going into week 2. 49ers won't have McCaffrey this week.
Right.
And there's some talk of him maybe going on IR.
Right.
But
that's to my dismay. That's to my dismay, selfishly for fantasy, because he in most fantasy leagues, he's the number 1 pick. So I happen to get the number 1 pick in one league. I said, you know what? I'm leery of this cat because I got a feel he's gonna get hurt once I pick him. But I said, you know what? He's number 1, and he's number 1 kind of by a distance. And I said, I want to try to win a championship. So I pick him. Boom. He doesn't even play the first game. Now he's not for the second. Yeah, I said, oh man, I should have gone my instincts. But yeah, so but their replacement actually had a great game. So now it really looks like, I mean, that kind of takes away a little bit from McCaffrey, but it's gonna make Shanahan look like a genius again, because he can do all the plug and play. Hey, we lose this all-world running back. We just put in this replacement, and look what he does. Over 100 yards, gets in the end zone, and we don't miss a beat. So,
yeah, talking about Jordan Mason.
Yeah. So that's the thing about it, is that this could be a situation where he'll get a rest. And then if it's not season ending or something like that, revelation comes up, it could be a rest, and again, and they still get this guy. I don't know if Jordan is going to get 100 some plus yards again, but you never know. So if he keeps this up, then it won't be a rush to get him back. They can get him fully rested, and then when they get near the second half of the season, when they need to make that push, then you'll have him back rested and healthy. So this could be a blessing once again in disguise, where they could find another guy that can fill the void, and it won't be a drop off enough to make them lose. But if they do run into a situation where he all of a sudden says, hey, I'm not supposed to be getting 100 yards like this, and he started getting you like 20 yards and fumbles the ball multiple times, then they might be in trouble, because McCaffrey definitely is their best offensive weapon, even though Debo is great. But McCaffrey, since they made that trade, has been the offensive star for that team, along with Purdy, what came out of nowhere as Mr. Irrelevant. So those two are definitely have to stay healthy. So McCaffrey, hopefully for them, it's only a couple weeks, and then he can come back, and the team still won't lose any momentum. They can still maybe be 4-0. So if he comes back and they're still undefeated, that was just a nice little rest for him.
Well, check this out, Mike. There were 15 black quarterbacks that opened the season as starters this year. That
Right.
is a record. That
What?
is
But here's the thing. I said this to Dave Sims. I said that is great. I said, but I said we can't be content with that because it's still not 50%, because 50% would have been 16, and the league is still almost 70% black. So that's a great moment. But then it also switched up. It could have been knocked down to 14 if Justin Fields wasn't backing up Russell, because Russell didn't even start. I put up all that hoopla about this is the 50th anniversary of when the Steelers started Joe Gilliam, and now 50 years later you're gonna start Russ. And then all of a sudden they said, "Oh, Russ is not gonna start this game." I said, "This is killing me," and I had to bench him on another team too. So
he's
these
not
last
starting.
minute pullouts has been destroying me.
Well, let me just read these guys off. Joe Brissett in New England, Jaden Daniels in Washington, Jalen Hurts in Philly, Lamar Jackson in Baltimore.
Wait, we got to stop you. Who did you say in Washington?
Jaden Daniels.
What does he do us?
From LSU.
But okay.
Yeah, he was number 1 overall pick, I believe.
No, I'm just saying. But I'm just saying, I'm waiting for you to get to our brother.
Jalen Hurts in Philly, Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, Jordan Love in Green Bay, Kyler Murray in Arizona, Pat Mahomes in Kansas City, Dak Prescott, Dallas, Geno Smith, Seattle, C.J. Stroud, Houston, Deshaun Watson, Cleveland. You might not be starting for long.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Caleb Williams in Chicago, Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh, Bryce Young in Carolina, and the best for last, our frat brother Anthony Richardson.
But we can't say Russell Wilson. You got to say Justin Fields.
Right. Well, yeah.
Exactly. Right. But yeah, definitely. I'm okay. I see what you were doing when you saved the frat for last. Okay.
But that's and you're right about the stats, but that is a long way.
Well, that's what I said to Dave Sims. I said, even though it's still not 50%, but it's still absolutely significant if you compare it to 1974 when it was Gilliam, and then James Harris eventually became the starter for the Rams. But that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Think about that. And it was only really those two, and they almost played each other in the Super Bowl.
And I think that list will only grow too much.
Well, it should, but once again, if you get a situation like Deshaun, if he's run out of the league, and then you get other players that they kind of just say, yeah, they're not really that good, or like I said, I mean, did you include Tua on that one or no?
Yeah, Tua. I said Tua.
What I'm saying, but you know how that is. Sometimes they say, hey man, I'm not black, I'm Pacific Islander. So sometimes you got to be careful with that.
Yeah. I said Tua. If the cops pull you over, speaking of that, I was going to say if the cops will pull you over and drag you out.
Exactly. Right. Well, that's what was interesting. We're going to talk about Tyreek, but that's why it was interesting when his coach said that, he felt bad for him. But I'm like, let's not forget a couple of years ago when somebody asked you about being a black coach, you kind of deflected that and said, So then all of a sudden now you're saying you understand what Tyreek, or I feel, a certain type of way. I'm like, what are we doing here? Now all of a sudden you finding your culture. So, it's interesting how it happens.
The guy that pulled him over has been suspended 2 other times and have been investigated at least 6 other times.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's probably just sitting back and still gonna get paid and all that kind of stuff. And who said this a long time ago? Even though Tyreek wasn't fatally shot, but it's amazing how no one wanted to bring up the elephant in the room.
And that's what talked about.
That's what exactly. So yeah. I was waiting for somebody to say, what was someone just saying about how this happens and unarmed, and it was by fate that it was a lot of people around where he couldn't, they couldn't take him out like that, and then also his teammates was there to try to make sure nothing happens bad, and
And his
they
teammate, they almost took him down, man.
yeah, exactly. So
And then he goes out and scores an 80-yard touchdown.
exactly. But within 4 days later, then he gets shut down in this Thursday night game.
Yeah, the Bulls got that. I mean, the Bulls. I keep thinking about the Bulls when I think of the Bills. The Bills definitely have the Dolphins number, and they're not going anywhere until they get that figured out. But back to Tua, man. I just hope he's okay.
Right.
The main thing, whatever he decides, I definitely wish him the best. But that's a violent game they play, Mike.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we go back in the day when I was younger, when Darryl Stingley got taken out. I never forget how I was like, man, that man is paralyzed after that one hit that Jack Tatum gave him. And I remember because my buddy who passed away not too long ago, his favorite team was New England. So I remember how mad he was, and then we just it was a lot more violent back then. Remember our guy from TSU, Turkey Jones, flipped over Bradshaw and pretty much gave him a suplex. So then you had, it was rough, and then all the head slapping and all that stuff. So it was absolutely off the hook back then. Now
they're trying their best to make this game safe. What do you think about the new kickoff thing?
It's still hard to understand because, like, okay, the ball's in the air, you got to wait until it gets to a certain point or he catches it, and then it almost feels like Little League because that's how they do in Little League baseball. You can't leave until the ball, the catcher, the ball goes across the plate. Then you get to finally take off, which is, an adjustment you make for the youngsters. Now we're at the top echelon of football, and they're doing these rules that seem more like minor league stuff. But, as long as you do have an opportunity to run the ball back. So that's the thing that was kind of irritating is that everybody kept, downing the ball or be at the 20 and all that. Like, where's the kickoffs? Where's the kickoff returns? What happened in those days? So, but they're worried about the collisions and all that now. So that's what I'm saying, that they're trying to make it more safe, but it's kind of taken away.
And even now, those hits, man, those hits still coming.
They still come, but, I guess they figured that the most violent collisions were on special teams because they're running full speed down the field and in both directions, and they collide with each other. So, we're never going to see that back the way it used to be, where you would, get hit. The quarterback was definitely not off limits. The quarterback could get it too. So, right now, Turkey Jones would have been probably suspended for 2 years. if he did that to Tom Brady.
Turkey Jones, Tennessee.
Yeah, if he'd have done that to Tom Brady, they'd have said, dude, you might as well come back in 2 years, and then we'll think about reinstating you, maybe.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, let's talk some college. Mike, have you been following Dion this year? Do you think the shine is coming off?
Well, I mean,
and he disappoints me not wanting to talk to some of the media guys.
Right. Well,
you gotta do it, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That we understand their standpoint. About, come on, man. I'm just trying to ask you a question. I mean, I don't know if he's done that. Has he done that to a brother? Or I know he was kidding around with some guy when he's at Jackson State, but I don't know if that would happen. If it was somebody like Jim Trotter or somebody like that. But who knows? Who knows if he started feeling himself too much? But he's getting it from a lot of different people. Yeah. So of course you get the Main Street people can't stand him because how dare you think you're going to dictate what we ask you? So they can't stand him for being arrogant. You know where that goes.
Right.
So and then they always take shots at him. He got Feinbaum always taking shots at him, and the old adage that they always say is that I don't know if he's an X and O guy, but he's a great motivator or he's a great recruiter. And that's what Terry Bradshaw tries to say about Tomlin. So you notice that. And so, of course, I have no love for him anymore. I mean, I liked him a little bit, but the whole, like I said, the whole stuff with Jefferson Street, and then also this kind of stuff he's saying now about Tomlin, like this man got as many Super Bowls as his predecessor. So I know Chuck Noll got 4, but come on, man, don't make it seem like he's chopped liver. And remember, it's only been a handful of coaches anyway, so less than. So, I think he messed up a lot of people in the HBCU land because, especially with us, because now the Southern Heritage, which I think is this weekend, against Pine Bluff, right?
They're gonna play Pine Bluff.
Yeah, Pine Bluff.
Like Eddie said,
but that's lost its luster. That's lost its luster because when we played Jackson State, that was a big deal because that was our rival, and then we were Power Fives of the black colleges. You think about it, the Power 5 schools of the black colleges was definitely us, Grambling, Southern, FAMU. So by us playing Jackson State, where it's a happy medium, Memphis is a happy medium. Jackson, Mississippi just comes straight up and hit Memphis, and then of course Nashville, you go straight west. And so I think by him taking that away, and then all of a sudden you're gone, also because you're saying, well, hey, where's the money at? And I don't think that we're recouping enough money for this. But then you leave, so all that tradition is out the window now.
And you're absolutely right, man. And Coach Eddie George even mentioned it.
Right.
I was reading the story in Tennessee, and he said now that Deion's gone, he said, man, we're hoping we can get. He said, I think Pine Bluff are stepping in to play this game.
Yeah, exactly.
We would rather play Jackson State because they are one of our big rivals.
Absolutely.
And I watched TSU the other day, Mike. They went out to North Dakota.
Oh, yeah.
One AA school like themselves.
Yeah.
And you see how far behind they are with these schools. We talked about it many times. Mike, they need to join a black conference.
Well, but here's the crazy thing about that whole weekend. Think about it. The way they got beat is like how they got beat by Notre Dame last year, right?
50.
Yeah, it was because remember I was there. But think about this: while they were getting smoked by North Dakota State, look who Notre Dame lost to on the same day.
Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois. So that's why when you look at it, say, okay, TSU, why couldn't that have been you last year? What are we missing here? I know some of those mid majors have more advantages than us and the money and all that stuff. Matter of fact, they probably gave them more money than they gave TSU last year. I can't remember what the amount was.
I'm sure.
Yeah, because Terrence and I were talking about that. He was asking me what are some of the rivals that TSU had because he was trying to put in his story. I said, oh, man, I'll definitely help you with it. So I explained to him like FAMU, Jackson State, Graham, Southern. And so they
could play all those schools every year if they just
I know.
That's what everybody wants.
Well, but here's the thing. Think about this. If they look at what's happening in the Division I football, right? And while you're getting all these conferences making these super conferences, right? Now it's narrowed down to 4, right? Now there's revelations that the Pac-12, which is the Pac-12 minus 10 now, but they're talking about adding 4 teams from like the Mountain West and those type of teams. So that you still got San Jose State that could possibly be in play. But if they get those 4 teams, that'll make it 6 there. You have the 2 leftovers from the Pac-12, and then I don't think they'll still be at the level to be considered a Power 5. They think they'll still be maybe a Power 4.5. So if you had all the TSU with all them and to make the SWAC a super conference like these other conferences, just think how that would be.
It would be fantastic.
That's what I'm saying. So get Hampton out of that conference they went into. Get TSU out of the OVC, then go over there in the SWAC, have the SWAC West, SWAC East, whatever it's going to be, and then eventually you can build that up, and then maybe say, okay, we're really getting our revenue together and all that, and we're going to try to move up so we can be competing with these teams. If we don't go to a Power 5 school and play them, we won't be embarrassed or beat down.
And they get embarrassed every time they go over to Titan Stadium and have 10, 12,000 fans because you playing somebody nobody knows.
Exactly.
They in your conference. They in your conference and your fans don't even know who they are.
Exactly. And then their visiting team doesn't bring anybody there anyway.
Right.
That's just like when TSU played Notre Dame, they showed so much deference to TSU. That's all right. You guys go out there because we know this is going to be a great show. So I think they performed first and let TSU go last so they could just get the crowd going. And so and that was the best part of the game was TSU the band because
we won halftime. We won the halftime show.
Yeah, because the football game. But it's funny though, the game did change on a crucial play because TSU actually was sticking with them early, but I think they either got an interception or a turnover or something like that just flipped the switch. Then all of a sudden Notre Dame just took off with it. So first of all, you got to have confidence, and then you also got to start getting the big recruits that thought was going to happen with Deion when they said, "Oh man, Deion's going to make everything change when you get these 5-star players going to start going to HBCUs." That's changed that quick once he went to Colorado, and he still doesn't have a line worth anything.
Yeah,
that's what he said. He said, all I need is a line, and then we'll be competing with these guys. All you people, then we're gonna win. So, they still are okay because they got that first win. He said that people didn't think they were gonna win that game, but then, you get beat this last game. So, this is a crucial game right here, game 3. So if you go on a losing streak, or you finish below 500, the luster would definitely be off by then.
Hey, Mike, we just got a few more minutes left. The WNBA's heading down the home stretch. Asia Jackson has been just phenomenal this year.
Asia Wilson.
Yeah, Asia Jackson. Asia Wilson has been phenomenal. Can the Aces
repeat?
Who do you like in the playoffs?
Well, the thing about it is that the Aces,
the Liberty got the best record. They're 31.
Right, exactly. But the Aces got off to a bad start. I don't know if it was hangover, whatever. So they weren't looking that good at first, but they may look a whole lot better once we get into the playoffs because you went back to back. You understand what it takes to win during the playoffs. But Liberty and some of these other teams are, looking formidable. So, I mean, Brianna Stewart, she's getting it done with the team, and they look a lot better. Ionescu and all them. So that might be their biggest competition would be the New York. So, of course, all eyes are going to be on the Fever though, because they, all the whole controversy with that, and then they hope that Caitlin can do well in the playoffs so they could justify all the hype. And then, of course, she's probably going to win Rookie of the Year easily, especially since Angel Reese messed up her wrist and she's done for the year. So I think all eyes are going to be on there, but I think that might be a good thing for Vegas because they could say, you know what, we're not going to have that much pressure on us, even though we're trying to three-peat, because everybody's going to be looking to see what the Fever are going to do. So once everybody looking at the Fever, we can just go about our business. Next thing you know, we're in the finals. And then once we get in the finals, we're going to take care of business. But I got a feeling it's going to end up being them against New York. And one thing that the WNBA does is they reshuffle the playoffs. They don't go by East or West anymore. So you might have two teams from the East playing each other, or in this case, you'll have Vegas against New York. So, but yeah, because the Storm, doesn't look as good. But remember, Storm was a power for a while, and then the Lynx. So it's kind of a change of the guard, and Vegas has pretty much become the dynasty in the league because remember the first dynasty was the Houston Comets, and what's the connection there? One of their star players, along with Lisa Cooper, one of their star players is basically being admonished by all the reporters, WNBA players, and all that. Well, some of the old WNBA players, because they feel like she's dissing Caitlin Clark. She's not showing all kind of unmitigated love. So I think people are forgetting.
What was that, Mike?
Cheryl Swoops. Remember, she was when the WNBA first got started. The three people they highlighted to start the WNBA was Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, and I don't forget her name from Connecticut. She's an announcer now.
The big girl, yeah,
Rebecca Lobo. Yeah, so those are the three people they were trying to highlight for the WNBA. They were the 3 stars. But what happened? Things changed for the Comets because Cheryl Swoops got pregnant. So she didn't really get to play that first year. So, and I said Lisa Cooper. That's a girl I know from high school. Cynthia Cooper ended up taking over as a star player for the Comets, and then Cheryl eventually came back, and then they had that dynasty going on. But now people are forgetting that she was one of the foremothers of the WNBA, and they basically saying this bitter old woman doesn't understand that this is the best thing that ever happened to the WNBA. So I think what's happening is that it's a lot of hyperbole attached to Caitlin Clark, even though she's been really good this year, and getting on the assist record and doing all these multiple triple doubles. But Angel was getting the rebounding record, but it's like, oh no, well that's different. And plus, she can't shoot, and they did nothing but nitpick how bad she was. And I know a lot of people are happy she's hurt and out of the season. So, people try to make it seem it's not a race thing, but a lot of what's happening here is over race. And it's and check this out. There's people giving her backlash too, because she liked that Taylor Swift. Yes. She liked her page that she said she's supporting Kamala. So then she can see what's really happening here. All those people that supported you, now to turn it back on you, they were supporting you because of racial overtone. Because they say, look at this golden white girl dominating this black league in college and in the pros. So once you seem like you're kind of cool with the first black woman president, oh, well, you know what? Forget what we said about you. You're a traitor. I mean, and the other word they'll probably use, NL are the initials. So, it really shows, what's behind a lot of this when you see how they just quickly turned on her when it seemed like she was kind of showing favoritism to a minority. So that's part of the reason why there's such a divide, and people are saying, look, you guys are disrespecting all these nice players like Asia Wilson. Is like she's having one of the best years ever. But what is everybody talking about? Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. Asia is going to she'll be the MVP of the league. She's currently averaging 27 a game.
Right. And
this is after the other day.
But here's the thing that they're trying to say, well, you still should consider Caitlin for MVP too. And, that hasn't happened since Candace Parker. But come on now.
Yeah, ain't no way in the world she getting MVP. Ain't no way in the world. Hey, man, we got to get out of here, bro. But it's good to be back.
Okay.
It's good to be back, and we'll be back next week. We'll settle back into our schedule. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Uh, Hope all your teams win this weekend. And Mike, that was just great conversation about Frankie Beverly and James Earl Jones, two icons in our community, man.
Right, and for our youngsters out there, we had a rapper take his wings. I guess you could say, Rich Homie Quan.
Who's that? Lil Rich Home?
Rich Homie Quan, yeah. So that's for the youngsters that kind of into today's rap. I guess you could say the millennials. So, but so but you had some people just went off when they tried to say legends. When they threw him in there with Frankie and James Earl Jones. Somebody said, "Hold on, man, pump your brakes now." But it's still somebody loved him. So rest in peace to him too.
Absolutely. Right. Well, for my friend and frat brother Mike Roberson, I'm Rick Hampton. We gone. See you next week. Peace, everybody.
Peace.
Take care, Newt.
All right, yo.